This week I will continue working on this cute little digging machine. And the plan is to install the front wheels on this machine. And the yellow thing you can see here in this clip, I'm afraid will not work. Because if we imagine for a moment that this thing here is the rubber track and this is the blade of the machine, we have these two iron beams here and then some iron thing I don't know, and then we have two wheels, one here, one here. But because of these wheels are a little bit too big, when installed here under the blade, they will touch the rubber track, so that's not gonna work. Which means switch to plan B. If this is still the rubber track and this thing is still the blade, what I'm gonna do is weld here two blocks, and in the block is a shaft, and on the shaft there will be a tram wheel, like this one here. As you can see, I have a collection of very nice toys here. I have one pair of tram wheels, I have some round bar, 40 millimeters, I have a lot of these kind of plates and bearings, brand new. And this is more or less the idea. Of course, the shaft, 40 millimeters. I have to cut a smaller diameter on it, like this one, 35, because my brand new bearings, 35. And then of course go in here and in here. And to keep the old zwik in place, all it needs is an end plate. And I wanted to keep the shaft in one piece, more stability, more strong, more solid. But maximum distance between centers of the Celtic lathe is 500 millimeters. And the part I have to make is more than 1000 millimeters, more than double. Which means it has to pass in the spindle. But of course, as always, there is a problem, because this thing refuses to fit in my Celtic spindle. I think I'm gonna make it in two parts. So left, right, two parts. Cut two pieces. And then of course make 4 support clamps that I can weld on the blade of the machine. Right, so let's start by cutting some pieces here. On both shafts I have to reduce the diameter from 40 to 35. But on what length? To know it, I think it would be interesting to first install the bearings so I can take precise measurements for this distance here. Because these things aren't really new, there is of course a lot of rust that accumulated over the years. Good little clean up. I'm just making a small, tiny, cute little chamfer here, because the rim is a little bit mangled up, so it will be easier to start my bearing here. That looks promising. Because my bearings here, they are a really tight fit in this hole. There's almost 1/10 of a millimeter difference. Now, this bore is the smallest of the 4 I'm gonna use. This is almost 1/10, that's a lot. To give me a little bit more fighting chance, I will make a heated in place tool. I have a cylindric looking thing here that fits nicely in, and if I cut a little rim here so I can push only on the outer race of this bearing, that could help. Because this thing is gonna live outside and we'll never see any grease because there's no grease nipple on it, I use some copper ease. This very good stuff. And also because my press is too small, I will use violence. Wood. That went much easier than I thought it would go. And I only installed two, so only in one wheels. And now there's another little problem that I don't really get. These bearings, when you feel them, they are perfect. Cheap bearings, but they feel really good. And now that it's installed, it is really, really hard to spin. So something's wrong in here. The other one, no problem, perfect. But I will see later on what I will do with this. We'll see. Now, to measure the distance I need to make this part here, the only measuring tool I have is this one. So I'm gonna take my measurement as precise as I can, and then it will be a trial and error system, test fit and see what happens. Oops. That will do. This thing is really handy. If you have to make a little chamfer or deburr close to the chuck by hand with the file is sometimes a little bit sketchy. So what I did, I took this little file, I cut the point off, I made a new point and put it in the other way around, which means the teeth of the file are pointing my way and not the typical way. So if I keep my file here and something goes bananas, I still have all my hands, because one bearing comes here and the other should come here against this shoulder. What I'm gonna do is relieve a little bit this part here. It's completely pointless to have a press fit all the way, so it will press fit in the beginning and here free movement and here press fit again. Something like this. I had to polish here a little bit more because this side was tiny bit bigger than this one. But now I think it will work just fine. Right, let's drill and tap metric 10. Sleeping Chuck. Right, let's see if it's possible to install this thing in here without breaking something. Because now of course I have to knock on the ball bearing itself. That's not really a good idea. But sometimes, you know, right, give it some copper. My workbench isn't really happy with the treatment I'm giving it. Let's give it a try on the concrete floor. Of course, it should be better to do it outside on my anvil, but as you can see, it's dark outside and as you cannot see. Good. Alright, and here they are. And my tape measure system idea seems to work very well because the shaft here sticks out a bit less than 1 millimeter more than the inner race of the bearing. Of course on both same, that's good. And of course I need this spacement to be able to install the end caps to prevent the wheel from falling off when it's driving 120 miles an hour. Let's make these end caps. Just a couple of washers, but a little bit bigger, that's all. Next thing to do is to cut this thing here in 4 pieces and then bore out the holes at 40 millimeters and then cut them in 2 so I can use them as clamps to go around the shaft here. Let's go for it. That's hard work for the little machine, but it did it. Four times, of course, and I think they came out very well. it almost fits on here, so when they will be cut in two, they will really clamp very well on this. Now, looking at this like this, they don't have the same height. But if I take a parallel, put it in the bore, spin a little bit this one, it doesn't look too bad. So I think it's gonna work. And this is where I have to end this video, because of course end of the week again. But not before I give a shout out to Dee's Workshop. And Darren, who runs the Dee's Workshop channel, he sent me a keep your beer cold in a workshop idea, and of course his sticker. Now what I like in Dee's channel is that he's playing with a mini lathe and a mini mill. So he has a small workshop and small machines. But in his videos you can see and really tell that he has a lot of fun playing with his toys. So Darren, thank you very much for your sticker, and as you can see, it finds its place on the cheap door. And as always, link to his channel in the description.